Hello, and welcome to Anime Audio Commentary. Today I'll be commenting on Episode 9 of Code Geass R2. If you'd like to watch along, then start watching now. So last we left off, Lelouch managed something rather remarkable through a bit of a legal loophole. He managed to sort of non-violently get all of his supporters out of Britannia. And, apparently, he's just sort of gone over to the Chinese Federation, which, you know, they might be good allies of convenience, but I feel like, you know, this probably isn't a long-term solution. But, I guess the Chinese Federation lent aid to this end, so, you know, I guess from his position, you kind of do what you have to do. Ooh. So, judging by the episode's title, I think Lelouch is going to try and consolidate power by marrying into the Chinese Federation, which, you know, I'm not too sure about whether that's a good idea or what, because, you know, knowing what I do know about history, you know, history that should be common to this alternate timeline here, the Chinese and the Japanese have a, tumultuous history, to put it mildly, so, like, I don't know. Like, Lelouch is sort of a third party in the sense that he is of Britannian heritage, and therefore, you know, not necessarily N11, but I don't know. If he wants to represent the people of Japan, I feel like he's gonna have to tread real carefully with the Chinese Federation, especially because, you know, if it becomes clear that Area 11 is in a precarious situation, you know, then maybe the Chinese Federation might decide to move in and stick it to the Britannians. So once again, we have that Dietert guy, and if you recall, he was a journalist early on, which, you know, kind of makes him inherently untrustworthy. And it's not like he's super trustworthy now, as Kellen pointed out, but, you know, he seems to be working for the benefit of Zero in that he's effectively trying to, you know, make him a larger-than-life figure. And, you know, with or without him, Lelouch has already sort of succeeded in that end, but I don't know. I think Kellen is right to mistrust him. Ooh. So Lelouch is already talking about overthrowing Liu Yang. And I must confess, I'm not entirely sure who that is, but I can only imagine it's a, you know, Chinese dignitary or an emperor or something. But, man, more important things are happening right now. You know, Callan totally didn't slip on purpose to engineer this scenario. I feel like maybe they shouldn't be just sitting around talking in a time like this, Especially seeing as how C2 is just in the room. Now, you know what? It may or may not be Pizza Hut, but it's nice to see someone eating pizza. That's always a good thing. So I guess it is a marriage of convenience, but it's interesting that it's a Britannian prince who's being married off rather than Lelouch. So I guess the Britannians are trying to cozy up with the Chinese Federation and freeze out Lelouch, which, that's something there. A nice little diplomatic tie to box out the United State of Japan. So I guess the question is Lelouch going to foil a wedding? Or is he going to, start his own wedding, or... I don't know. Something's going on here. That guy is talking a lot of sense. Now is maybe not the time to be all calm and collected. Now might be the time, not to freak out, but to, start doing things. So that's Schneizel there. He's kind of an unknown quantity. We know he's certainly shrewd and calculating to a degree, but beyond that, we haven't seen too terribly much of him. The implication is that he's behind this marriage, and if that's true, that's a pretty smart move on his part, especially considering that Lelouch was saying, the groom-to-be is kind of adult, and therefore he couldn't have thought of this. Alright, so this already seems to be shaping up to be my kind of an episode, because I don't think I've been shy about this, but I think there's something just really great about interrupting unjust weddings. And, given the way Tianzu, I think that was her name, how she's looking none too thrilled about this whole thing, it's safe to say that this really is truly a marriage of convenience, and not for her convenience. So the question is Lelouch gonna break up the wedding? I feel like surely he must, but the question is he going to, raise his objections when the priest asks if anyone, has any reason why this couple should not be wed? That's how you know something's good, when someone has an objection to a wedding and they can back up their claims. So I guess in accordance with the idea that this is a wedding of convenience, all the, the top brass, the who's who of the Britannian Empire are mingling with the Chinese. The question is, with so many people here, this really is a delectable target. Ooh, so Schneizel is the Prime Minister. And, whoa, State and Nina too. Whoa, buddy. What was I going to say? Schneizel, the Prime Minister. That's something. That's news to me. I was under the impression he was, second in line to the throne, but to be Prime Minister too. But this whole reception, there are a lot of people in incredibly high stations. It would be a neat little target if maybe Lelouch could arrange a false flag. Obviously if he were to attack it or do something and, blatantly say, the Black Knights have done this, that would be highly counterproductive to his overall goals. But, if maybe he could engineer a little, incident or a disagreement or stoke resentment between the two parties, then maybe something funny could happen. Ooh. Okay, so there's already a dissident faction within the Chinese Federation. The chief eunuchs, as they're called, high members of court and all that. Like, they arrange this, and they get nobility out of the bargain. So, that's something. You know, there's certainly cause for some of the powers that be in the Chinese Federation to be upset about this, because, you know, Tianzi is effectively being bargained and sold for personal gain, which, you know, when someone's like a princess or otherwise symbolic of the realm, you know, you can't just do that. I mean, you can, but maybe you shouldn't. And I guess this main dissident here, whose name momentarily escapes me, like, he certainly has a relationship with Tianzi, so he, more than most, is understandably resentful of this. And so, I get the feeling Lelouch is gonna rendezvous with this guy and maybe stoke some resentment. Okay, yeah, so here we have it. Like, the guy's making a promise with Tianzi. I feel like if ever there was a time to uphold his promise, now would be that time. So I guess the question is, I mean, he's obviously, like, he's got some strong feelings about it, but he's not sure whether or not he should intervene. But the question is, are you willing to interrupt a alliance just for a promise? And I feel like, you know, there's been a variety of people who are willing to stand up for their beliefs versus what's pragmatic. Man. It's interesting that Zero would just sort of show up. You know, that's, not where I expected things to go. For him to just, you know, walk in with his date, so to speak. So I guess it really seems like there's not going to be any violence except maybe like a bit of a slap fight if people get a little too drunk at the wedding. But man, I can't help but wonder how Lelouch is going to put a stop to this. Man, you know, it is rather telling that Euphemia and her actions are still sort of felt to this day. You know, Nina has more reason than most to admire her. Man, Nina's, she's really speaking her mind, and probably not for the best, you know. Ooh. So I guess the chief eunuchs are under the impression that, you know, Kaguya and Zero are tributes. Yeah, you know, this smacks a lot of a coup. You know, the chief eunuchs sort of taking charge where, you know, they shouldn't do in principle, but in practice they do. Okay, so it seems like Schneizel is almost interceding on the behalf of Zero, which, that's unexpected, but I guess the implication here is that he is far more honorable than, well, others of his kind. Okay, so there's all sorts of stuff going on. You know, Kaguya's dredging up memories. You know, she and Suzaku are of the 6 Kyoto families. Kaguya's bringing up that, you know, hey, Zero saved your life. You know. Ooh. Okay, so Lelouch is bringing up a game of chess here. And of course there are stakes. Okay, so I guess the question is, what's his goal here? Well, I guess we know now, you know, like, if he wins the chess match, then, like, you know, Suzaku goes into his custody and then he's got free reign to Geass everyone. Which, you know, that would be nice, because Suzaku is the big obstacle to that. I mean, it's kind of unfortunate they just sort of like went right out and said it right away. I was kind of hoping to pontificate and wonder about what Zero's goal would be, but, you know, now they're just playing chess, I suppose. And now the real question is, how accurate of a chess game is it gonna be? Because it seems like we're just sort of like cutting to halfway in. I mean, I'm not exactly like a connoisseur of chess, but I know the rules and I know some strategy. You know, a little bit at least. So, I guess by the murmuring of the crowd, it seems as though Lelouch is winning, but only barely. Ooh. Okay, so I guess we're being a little silly here, moving the kings into, you know, the sort of dangerous area of the board. Like, generally speaking, that's not really how you should play chess, I don't think. You know, it's kind of interesting that the Chinese Federation, they don't really seem to know much about chess because it's not really a Chinese game. You know, they've got similar things, but not chess. Okay. Oh. That's an illegal move, I'm pretty sure. You can't willingly put your king in check. So what's Schneizel doing here? You know, he's declaring checkmate, but I feel like, okay, what's the deal here? You know, is Schneizel trying to, like, psych Lelouch out? Clearly it's worked. I mean, I feel like maybe Lelouch's best bet would to say something like, you know, you actually can't make that move, you silly goose, but, oh dear. So I guess, as nice as the chess game was going, Nina can't help herself. Ooh. Yeah, Nina's not pulling any punches. She's just slapping everyone with her words. Like, look, you were Euphemia's knight. Why aren't you doing anything? And now, you know, Kalen's getting involved. I mean, really, like, the last and only bombshell that could drop for Nina is the revelation that Lelouch is Zero. Oh, Pizza Hut. There we go. We're back. Man, it's... There's something kind of morbid about just like showing like a little flashback scene with Pizza Hut in frame as Nina's having this breakdown in court about Euphemia dying and no one lifting a finger to avenge her. There's just something so grim about that it loops back around and becomes silly. Oh man. You know, I feel like handing Nina her knife back is, kind of a mistake, you know? Like, I don't think she was ever a tremendously stable person, but she's certainly no more stable now than she's ever been. So I guess they're just not going to conclude their chess game then. But, man. Tianzi's kinda got a hard go of things. You know, her first introduction to the outside world as effectively a hostage. Oh, here we go. So people are intervening after all at the wedding. And I guess the question is, will this turn into a hot war? Because, I mean, ostensibly this is an internecine conflict among the Chinese Federation. Alright, so here we go. Like, you know, it's bad enough that the guy's, like, interrupting a wedding, but, like, this was all broadcast, too. That's gotta be kind of unsettling for the public. Ooh. Yeah, so things are immediately dangerous. Like, the guy's fighting in melee combat, and there are all sorts of civilians around, so you can't shoot him for fear that you might hit someone innocent. Ooh. You know, it's unfortunate that only now is he considering that Tianzi might not be in favor of this. But, I mean, it's a little too late for that once you start hacking at people with the sword. You know, I feel like at this point, all you can really do is act and, you know, just ride out the fallout in the end. I mean, judging by that little hand gesture, I think it's fair that, you know, she sort of agrees with his actions, but at the same time, you know, it's hard to say if he's gonna survive this. Ooh. Okay, so Lelouch, like, he's dropped in to take advantage of this. So I guess he's got the hostage now. Ooh. Okay, so Lelouch is effectively trying to wipe out his debt to the Chinese Federation, essentially by taking a hostage, saying like, hey, you guys better watch out now. That's kind of depressingly cold-blooded. I think I'd prefer he didn't do that, but, man. Okay, and just as a little hint for things to come, V2 is telling someone to start taking action. And, ooh, Jeremiah Gottwald, good old Agent Orange. Man, we haven't heard from him in quite a while. Alright, well that's it for this episode. If you enjoyed it, then by all means, tune in for the next one. See you, Space Cowboy.